Dan here, DD Speed Show. I gotta get into the lights so I look good. So we're back from Power Tour. The bricklin is bricklining, and it's time to get back to the regular grind. Now, when we were working before, that Nomad was just non-stop to get ready for Power Tour and all that. We made it. We put 5,000 miles on that thing. I'm confident in that thing. We can drive it anywhere we want. Now, we have a lot of projects that are like, I'm gonna say 50 to 80% done. And summer doesn't last that long here. I'd like to get as many of them done as I possibly can. People are asking about the Camaros. I don't know what else I got, Model A, I don't know. We're gonna get to all of them at some point, maybe. I promise you there's a chance I might get to some stuff. Now, we have a top list here. I promised Dani I would get this 57 together. And this poor car, I've borrowed parts off of it. It just hasn't ever quite been together. So this is now top priority for me. Dani's been super supportive and kept me off the edge there a few times on the old Nomad. So this is happening next. Now, I did borrow a few parts off for the Nomad, a water pump and stuff like that. You know what? We're going to go down to the parts store. We're going to bend over. We're going to pay retail pricing because I want this thing on the road ASAP. Right before we left, we had weeks before we left, the interior was out to get done with TCS. They did a fantastic job, and it was done, I think, like just days before we were leaving. I just didn't have time. So this thing, in theory, like I said, borrowed the water pump off of it. The front dress, we got to get that taken care of. I cut the mufflers off, and I think that's, I mean, at least, you know, the heater kind of hooked up, the bumper put on, interior put in, just kind of odds and ends, and she can drive this thing. It's got a new wiring harness in it. It needs lots of little, just gone over, you know what I mean? But it shouldn't be too big of a job. So that's top priority. Unfortunately, there's no water pump on it. There's no charging system in it, all that good stuff, and there's no mufflers on it. So we're gonna probably drive with no water in it, piss a few neighbors off. We had a black car out. I had that in the garage while we were gone. It doesn't need a whole lot, but I bought this storage 12-bolt Chevy out of a Nova, and it's got fresh rebuild, 373 gears, the whole deal. I'm fighting out if I should put it in the Nova or plunk in that 55. I have dreams of making that 55 a bit of a sportier hot rod, maybe put a cam in it. I toy with the idea of a turbo, but I don't know if I'm that kind of guy. I'd like to lower it, 2 inches front and back, and just have, a daily bomb around car. But I digress. There's stuff everywhere. So, in theory, we should be able to hook the battery up, ground this somewhere to the engine block, and just let it run without any accessories or anything. And track down some bracketry, which I may have hanging. Or I gotta go to the parts store and buy a few things, and you know what? That's fine. We're just gonna go do that. I gotta get welding gas, so we can do the mufflers. That's the goal for the next kind of day or so, is get this thing back on the road, running and driving, tile the wiring up, get the, I don't think the electric fan was wired in, just all those little things like that we have to get taken care of, and literally have it ready for seats, which maybe we'll get tomorrow after work, or maybe on the weekend, I'm not really too sure. We'll kind of go from there. So, the neighbor's outside eating dinner. Sorry, neighbors, if you're watching this, but we're just gonna back it up, drive it next door, and go from there. Once that's done, like I said, 57, or this, the old clickbait 57, it is like 80% done. It was getting ready for Power Tour, and I lost interest. Then we had to borrow the springs out of it, and just so many parts to come apart right last minute to make something work, which I hate doing, but it is what it is. Now, I'm not gonna leave stuff this way. We're gonna put springs in this. I'd like to get Dani's car done, maybe wagon next door, get back on the Chevy too. I got a goofy set of Vanderwell small block Chevy headers, which I haven't paid for yet, so that was awesome. But we just gotta start, so how are you gonna eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. One car at a time, one part at a time, one whatever at a time, and slowly but surely we'll have a fleet of running and driving cars right in time to put them away for winter. So, let's see if we can get this thing fired up. I think there's a throttle return frame on this thing actually. So, just gonna, that will definitely hang the throttle open. We gotta put a spring on this. I'll be right back.
What'd you say?
Just saying I'm a little light on springs.
Because why?
Well, I think I took a spring off this. I think I took a spring off that and put it on the Nomad.
This doesn't have spring?
Fuel injected, baby. Different kind of spring. So, what do we do here? I don't want to take apart my cars for this.
Don't you just need it for like 2 seconds?
Yeah, but it's all the way on the street.
Go get it.
I'll just take one off the Biscayne. Gentle, gentle. Alright, man. My favorite part is this whole video is about me putting this car back together because I took parts off of it. And I'm taking parts off another car. Oh. What do I do here? A little bit of funniness going on, but we'll figure it out. I think she's mint. Okay.
I don't think the battery went there before.
Hold these. You know, it's custom. You wouldn't understand.
It's my car.
Then fix it.
I pay a guy.
You're delinquent. Gas pedal doesn't work. There's no coolant in it. All sorts of problems. Just modify the throttle linkage here. What can I do?
Is that just baling wire?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I didn't have this problem before.
Before was it put together with baling wire?
Well, let me describe.
It's not gonna stay put together with baling wire, correct?
You know, baling wire is one of them quick fixes to become a permanent fix. No, I'll put some fancy baling wire on it or something with an end or something.
And a bumper?
You'll get a bumper. Okay, we're good? Hot in here.
You gotta fix my door trim.
Oh god, it's hot.
Look.
Meep. Okay, so we got this hot rod in here. Should be, everything's all together. All I did was take the water pump and the alternator and the brackets off that. I think I have some brackets somewheres. I don't know where. I made a bit of a mess before we left, and then Murr actually attempted to clean some stuff up. So we gotta find all that. I got a water pump which I paid friggin' retail for from friggin' Napa, and the best part is it's a friggin' Gates, and this exact water pump is $36 on Rock Auto. And it was like $82, something like that. But Dani gets what Dani wants. So we'll put that together. Hopefully I can get some brackets on it. I do have the alternator was off the Nomad that was like, I brought as a spare known good one. Put that on there with the belt. And then the front dress is done, fill it back with water. We got this is like a Griffin radiator. My buddy Josh got me a while ago with some sort of a fan. I think I'm just gonna wire this up to 12 volt switch, so if it's running, the fan is on. Just be done with it. We got to put the HVAC stuff in there. The battery I think might just live there simply because I don't have a battery tray, because I think I might have taken it and put it on the Nomad. So we'll just have a little hold down right there, be fine. And yeah, hook up the power brakes, clean up the wiring a little bit. We gotta take a look at these mufflers, see if we can put those on there. I thought I had some 3-inch pipe, but I don't know where it is. So you gotta put mufflers on this thing, it just sounds terrible. And pull the interior out, give it kind of once over. The wiring is spaghettied in there. Yikes. So you gotta do that. Oh, put the heater controls back in. There's a few little odds and ends to get taken care of, but not really a whole lot. This thing was basically, I think, like almost done. Just needed seats put in. I was gonna finish up the wiring. And then I went back a few steps by stealing parts, but it's the Dani Speed Shop way. You know what I do have is I have the mufflers that were on the Nomad. Dani would hate those. Oh, I also have the bumper outside. We'll put that on for her. So it'll look like a car by the end of the episode here. Hopefully be running and driving. Hopefully the mufflers will be on. Hopefully I had to get welding gas. And we'll see exactly where we end up. But I'm gonna go scour the garage for some miscellaneous brackets. Oh, I don't have any pulleys or nothing actually, now that I think about it. I took the crank pulley. Yeah, there may be some tomfoolery ahead. I don't know if I have any on the wall. Oh, I do. Nice. This is the pain in the ass one to get. So now I think it'll work. I just need like a standard water pump one. I'll have to look, see what I got. So here's everything I managed to round up. We had that crank pulley. I believe this is small block Chevy. I think big block stuff's bigger. I had this one alternator bracket. There's another one here with an alternator that says good on it. That's an alternator I think that was on it. Unknown. Brand new water pump. This I found. It's just like a chrome junky pulley. I kind of hate the chrome ones, but whatever. We'll put that on. And then the only thing I didn't have was, I don't think either alternator has, like there's a little spacer at the back of the alternator just where it goes to the cylinder head, but I might have like a piece of pipe on the wall we can cut to shape and kind of go from there. So I'm just going to clean up the mating surface. We'll bolt on the alternator or the water pump, and then I think I'll just go grab that alternator of the Nomad. It was brand new. I just brought it as a spare. It was on the car, but I put an AC Delco one on. But for what Dani's doing, it should be no big deal. I got to find the heating stuff. We should be able to dial this thing under the hood together like toot to sweet. So I'll get it all dialed together and be back shortly. Well, I've been screwing around. This is the classic. When you're just trying to jam together what you got, you end up screwing around. It's just trying to make the pulleys align, which I will say, when I took the mess off this thing, I had some washers and stuff in it. I probably should have kept a little bit better track, but I did not. Anyways, the crank is dead straight. I had to put a couple of washers in the water pump pulley to pull it ahead, so that's perfectly aligned. The alternator is the next battle, which is always kind of a hassle when you're trying to use a factory bracket with aluminum intake and all that. But the main problem I have is I just don't have in stock a long enough bolt. So on a small block Chevy, big block Chevy, there's a bracket that comes off the water pump and a long bolt goes through into the cylinder head, and that's what the alternator can kind of pivot on, and then this top piece essentially is just what the adjustment is to lock it. Well, without that piece, it's kind of hard to get the alternator kind of square, and you know, washers and stuff like that to modify this, and if I have to step it out or whatever it may be. So you know, the hardware store might be open, it's like 9:30 at night, but by the time I run out, get bolts and all that stuff, I'll just be like, bah, I'll be done with it. So the thing we're gonna do instead, we'll put the front bumper on for Dani, and then I'll make a list, because I actually don't have a crank bolt for this thing either, so I've got to get one of them. But we can hook up the water pump, like all the hoses, and kind of do some screwing around there. It is getting a little late, like I said, it's 9:20, 9:30. I'm getting a little tired, a little hot, but I'll stop the bumper on, and maybe just leave it there and make a little list of things. It's one of those situations, you know, when nuts and bolts just aren't going together and you take the night off and then the next day just falls together. It's kind of where we're at. Fight for 2 hours or call it, and it'll go together in 15 minutes tomorrow after work. So I think that is my plan. And I gotta make a list for some exhaust stuff because we gotta get some exhaust on this thing tomorrow. But yeah, it's just a small block Chevy in 57. Should go together pretty quick. Are you happy, internet? Are you happy? Bumpers on. Me. Not really my jam, but it's what Dani wanted. So there you are. That's where we're left for now. Later on, well, tomorrow, we'll get a crank bolt so we can get that alternator with the main bottom bolt on the spacer. We'll get it squared up this way, and then all it has to do is tilt like that. And like I said, we'll have to adjust it forward or back so the belt is in line, and then we can play around with these things to get it all adjusted up. I also have to get some adapters, oh, there's my exhaust pipe. See? I knew I had some. Actually, I had more than that, but we'll see what happens. To the mufflers, I don't know if I'm just going to do turn downs or if I should kick them out the side or what we're going to do, or maybe out the back. I don't know. But at the very least, we'll get the mufflers hung and maybe get some kind of, some turn downs for now. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I got my list of stuff to get tomorrow. It's kind of fun being back in the groove. I'd like to get this car dialed together. We can start cleaning up and kind of going from there. But exhaust tomorrow, maybe a test drive, and the video after that we'll have the interior. I can't imagine what else this thing could possibly need. But I might be borrowing parts off it, you know? Well, it's just a new day, and I did a little bit of screwing around. I actually ran out. We got the interior from this thing from TCS. They did a fantastic job. The color scheme is Dani's choice, so we'll leave that there. I ran out to the hardware store after work today, and I got some miscellaneous stuff. I got a crank bolt. I mean, they sell a lot of stuff, but I just got a grade 8 bolt. It's fine. We have the alternator on. I made a little spacer there just so there's some 3/8 kind of tube I had. Maybe it's 1/2 inch, so a 3/8 bolt fits in it. Modified a few things. Everything had to be spaced ahead, unfortunately, with washers and stuff, but the belt is nice and straight, so that's pretty good. We got to wire that alternator up and then figure out what we want to do with the fan, but luckily someone left the fuse block here, so all we got to do is run power to that, and then we can run a relay and have nice clean power to it. Maybe just use the fan wire as a trigger or something like that. I don't know what that fan wire does, but again, I think I'm just going to have it on switch, so it's on, because we have it on a switch. Daniel never remember to turn it on. And I don't have a probe or anything on me, so we'll just make that happen. We don't have any gauges on this thing, which I probably should get, like a fuel or a oil pressure and temp and volts and all that. But for now, it is what it is. We got to get one of those off Scamazon. Got to get some rubber hose so we can hook up the vacuum brakes. But what we're going to do now, the car is jacked up. I ugly cut these mufflers off. So these are on the Nomad, and they're a little too quiet. So I'm going to just slice them right here, put a little extension piece in, then I have a coupler, because ultimately it had roughly the same exhaust. We're running fender wells on this, and I just kind of zipped them in the middle. There's a hanger already there. We'll just kind of hang it. I don't have any turn downs or side pipes or anything like that yet, so we'll have to maybe go to the hot rod shop tomorrow and see if they have some U-bends or something like that, just so we can kind of kick it out, or some dumps, whatever we gotta do for now. But that's the plan for tonight. I'd like to get kind of mostly together. Maybe I'll show you the seats, we'll see how it goes, and just get it running again. Running and kind of driving, and then the next one will be, seats will be a bit of an issue to put in, just because they're miscellaneous. Well, the back seat will just fit in nice, but the front seats will have to build some sort of brackets and spacers and screw around and all that sort of stuff. But once we do that, then I mean, it's light check, make sure the horn works. It doesn't have wipers, so we have fair weather rule here, so as long as you don't drive in the rain, you're fine. I did buy an electric wiper kit for this, but somebody put it on the Nomad. So I got to order another one, but they were out of stock. I got it from, I forget the name of it, but it worked out pretty good. And actually this one did have all the factory stuff was working, so a vacuum wiper setup would work, and I might have one, but they're just terrible. Like they're just, you don't want to send your old lady out with vacuum wipers. And then, I don't know where I left this thing, so odds and ends, but kind of a driver in a hurry, which is pretty sweet. Bumper's kind of lame though, but whatever, it's what you wanted. Okay, so here's what we ended up with. It just hangs there. I gotta put, like I said, turn down or turn out or something like that. But pretty simple. So you can see where I cut the exhaust and we added that little piece on. Now, on the other side, we've already got her kind of dialed together what I did. Pretty simple. We just clamp up the back of the muffler, hold the front with the floor jack, slip this collar on. We're kind of in line. This might have to drop down a little bit. We'll measure here to here, slip it in. Then I welded the exhaust pipe in the muffler and into the collar. Then we're just going to clamp the front. So the exhaust is kind of two-piece or whatever. Seems fine. People are always asking about this lately. This little saw is the Ticket. I got it from Great Western Saw. It's in Saskatchewan. They do free shipping in Canada if you spend a bunch of money. So this thing qualifies for that. But just a quick cut, straight cut. It's absolutely cherry. I was originally trying to get one of those horizontal bandsaws, I guess. Called them, you know, this and that. Like, oh, no, trust me. Like, it's big, it's annoying, it's slow, this and that. This is the Ticket. They were right. They took my money. So yeah, I'm gonna get that welded up real quick. We'll slap that together. Very simple. I said I might go out later and get some turn downs or whatever it may be. And I think we can kind of drop this thing down, put some water in it, just start doing a little checklist, make sure we have everything, you know, fuel lines aren't touching anything, it's spinny, finish up some wiring to the charge system, hook up this fuse block. I kind of forgot where I left it. That'll happen when you're working on like 18 different cars and there's a deadline. I really like working without a deadline. I can work as many hours in the day as possible, but if there's a deadline, I don't have fun. So luckily there's no deadline on this. Dani's unhappy every day, so if we happen to get one good day, it's a win, whether it's today, tomorrow, or next week. Okay, both mufflers are on. I took the battery up. Let's fire this thing up, see how it sounds. Odds are it's gonna sound like a stock 50s hot rod with no cam and no nothing. But give her a few little pumps there, the throttle. Let's do that. Alright, call our day. Motor's noisy, but we'll just assume that's what's been sitting for a bit. So we'll drop her down, and then, I don't know, throttle linkage, all sorts of stuff we need to do. Okay, so we got this hot rod somewhat together. Seat's right behind Dani. You want to show him? Oh, show him. Just give him a little. Next video, a little tease. Just get like a little more. Okay. So, are you showing or what? It's just like my life. So, we got mostly everything all together. Hooked up vacuum line for power brakes. We got the transmission vacuum hooked up. I made a little rod with a throttle, so that's proper.
What everyone actually cares about, though.
Yeah, I already showed the bumper yesterday or earlier today, whatever it was. So that's all done. The wiring, I just zip tied everything together. I'll end up taping it or looming it, but just in case, you know, for the first little bit, I like to leave it kind of open, so if you have to get something, we can. I'm going to relocate the battery to the front just because it's easy. So I put the lines that go through the core support through a little rubber isolator. We got the charging system hooked up. What else we got going on? Oh, I hooked the fan up, so if it's just switch 12, so no matter what, the fan will kick on if the key is on. So mental note for yourself, darling, when you turn the key on, make sure the fan goes on. And yeah, I'll fire this whole girl up. It makes a little bit of noise on the one side. I think what we're going to do is we're going to let it run, get up to temperature, and then I'll probably end the video by running the valves on that side while it runs. Just see if that's the issue. This motor was kind of clapped. This is the one that actually came with that C-ring and had, it was seized. So I honed one cylinder and lapped in one valve with a lot of lapping. And we got it to run. I think that's this motor. We had this thing in something. This might have been one of the wagon. I'm not really too sure, but it runs. It's pretty snappy. So yeah, then we can do a bit of a tune-up, set the timing, set the carburetor, and realistically, I think that's it for today. The only thing I haven't put on is the heating stuff. Do you want the heating stuff? She's nodding. She doesn't care, so we're good.
I want my horn back.
Yeah, I'll put that on there. So, think it'll start? Damn it. Might have given it a little bit too much fuel there, but that's the motor noise kind of went away. What it does have, the pulley I put on the water pump looks like it's doing this, but I think it's just the crappy pulley. Because the belt runs straight. Let's hope for. So, it's got a little bit of noise. We'll let it run, get the temperature, run the valves, and then, yeah, we'll get some plates on this thing. Next video, we'll put the seats in and drive it. Dani's first hot rod. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. I think it'll be mint. Okay, so this hot rod is pretty freaking simple. So we're just talking about an absolute bone stock 350. I got an aluminum intake. It has a Summit carburetor. This is the first one I've ever used. Seems to be pretty good. A set of headers. Now it's like an 80s-ish block. The timing mark's a bit of a pain. It's kind of top to bottom through the water pump, so it's a bit of a hassle to see, but it is what it is. I have. So we're just gonna tune it real quick here. I've blocked the carburetor, or sorry, the vacuum advance with a pair of vice grips. So you want to make sure you're not using vacuum advance for setting initial timing. So on this one, we're gonna go real conservative, and this I have a dial back timing light, so this will show up now. But I'm gonna dial this back to 8 degrees, as they'll say right there. Over here, it'll say RPM. So now what we're gonna do, I have my wrench on the distributor. It can be moved. Essentially, when the timing mark, this one doesn't have a like a sweep or whatever you want to call it. It just has like a single little tube. So when the timing mark is right in line with that tube, that means we'll be 8 degrees because I've dialed back the timing light. So we'll dial that together. This thing only has enrichment for the idle on the front 2 circuits, so we have that like a turn out. So we'll play with that a little bit, and then finally we'll kind of adjust the idle. Pretty simple setup. So let's fire this thing up and see how it runs. Well, see how good we can get it running. I'll probably make it worse. We're flashing. Just see what this says. Kind of a hassle. Okay, so he's got to advance just a little bit. Right there is 8 degrees. We're sitting at 700 RPM. We'll just lock down this distributor so we know it's not going to go nowhere during the rest of the tuning. Now typically what I would do for like a hot rod application, man, that water pump pulley is just ridiculous. You set the timing all in so at maximum. So now we have this thing on ported vacuum. or manifold vacuum, so it's going to bring the idle up a little bit, which is fine. So we're sitting right at 900, 920, so basically fine. And I'll just play with the idle a little bit. I love that. So it brought the idle up as I leaned it out. The other side. Okay, that should be fine. Now I'll set the RPM at like 850 or something. So we're sitting at almost 1,000 now by playing with the mixer screw. Just all the way down, yeah. A little bit more. That's idling about 875, so we'll play with it again once we put it in gear, make sure it's good, but I think it's fine. So that's your roundabout setting up bone stock carburetor. So that should be fine. I'll pull the door. I'll pull the valve cover off the passenger side. It'll probably make a hell of a mess. Actually, I might have a small block Chevy one with a slit in it, and we can see if that's what that noise is. The other thing is this thing is solid mounted with fender well headers, and I can see the fender well header touching the inner fender, so that could be the knock we heard. This thing, it's got enough miles on it now. I'm pretty sure it's the one that had in the wagon, and I've driven it out to my buddy Mike's and back, and it's probably got, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours of highway and kind of in-city town, in-city driving. So I'm not really too worried about it. Also, we're not driving it to the States. If it breaks down, it's just a simple tow home. Danny might be a little late for work and embarrassed, but hey, when you're part of DD Speed Shop, that's what happens. Pull the valve cover off, set that, and I think we're done for now. We'll do the inside wiring with the seats. Okay, so let's show you here kind of what I'm gonna do. So we have our rockers. The threads all look relatively close and about the same, but we're going to go and put this ratchet on there. And with the motor running, we're going to loosen it until it makes noise. Once it starts clacking away, we'll then tighten it until the noise goes away. So that'll be 0 lash. So this is a hydraulic flat tappet. Then we'll give it 1/2 or 3/4 of a turn. Now, obviously, if there's one already making noise, something like that, we can adjust it. This motor, again, when I had it, it was seized. I took it all apart. I think I only took 1 cylinder head off. Maybe I took 2. I don't remember. And when I put the valves and all that back, or the rockers back on, I just adjusted on the bench, which is usually just fine. So this might be it. It might just be something else. It might just be the way she is forevermore. Sometimes motors are noisy, but at this point, we'll try it. It definitely sounds like it's coming from the passenger side. So first, explain what I'm doing, because when we set the camera up, it's going to be kind of awkward, not to mention it's going to be spraying oil everywhere. Nice thing is there is oil all across here, and the benefit of taking this motor apart is clean all the junk out of it. I don't know if I had the oil pan off or not. I must have. Anyways, we're going to run the valves real quick. We'll put it all back together, clean it up. Maybe we'll take it outside, let it idle outside, and see if it'll overheat or not. Because that's always a fun time too, right? Okay, let's fire this thing up. Make a pile of mess, a little bit of smoke. Everybody loves that. Okay, so first one here, we'll just loosen it until it starts clacking away. That took 3/4 of a turn, which means I probably adjusted it correctly. Come on, girl, you got it. There you go. Same thing, so that one, 3/4 of a turn. If you go slower, it won't pull the motor down. Okay, that's all good. These headers are really in the way. The noise didn't really go away. It is what it is. It's really not that bad though. It might just need to be run a little. I mean, again, it's sitting, but you can see all the rockers are pushing oil, so that's good. We can shut this thing off, tighten it up, and be done with it. And we'll just deal with it as she comes. So I'll get everything cleaned up. We'll drive this thing out, let it idle away, and see if it yaks its guts out. Well, she's been idling out here for probably 20 minutes. Seems to be doing pretty good. Motor's still a little tickety-tack, but what are you gonna do? So we're sitting around, what's that, 900 RPM in park. You know, it seems okay. The motor noise, what it does when you rev it up, it kind of goes away and then it kind of comes back as it idles. So it's got like a lifter that's kind of not quite getting pumped up, or something's not quite happy there. I'm not really too sure, but ultimately at this point, we'll drive it, do an oil change or two to it, and see if it gets any worse. I mean, it sounds good. The exhaust is good. It revs up fine. There's no real issues there. It seems rather snappy. See, the tippity tap goes away. So I don't know, but that's where I'm leaving it for today. And this fine video. This is what Dani wants to put in this thing. So TCS auto upholstery hooked us up as per usual. They worked lickety split, and as per usual were the slow pokes. So we're gonna leave it like this. Obviously we have some wiring woes to take care of, but a few zip ties and a couple of self tappers, that'll be taken care of. Those seats are gonna be going in shortly. I'm gonna run down and get insurance on this thing before the place closes. So the next video I'll be putting stuff in and driving it, and maybe blowing up the motor if that's what happens. But overall, like I said, ran 20 minutes or so with the hood down. It's definitely not that hot today, maybe high 70s, low 80s, but nothing yacked. It wasn't too crazy. I had the temperature gun, actually, now that I think about it, oh, right here. What did the cylinder head get to? Oh, that's the exhaust. 175, water neck. And 165, top of the red. Yeah, so I think we're okay. This thing should do just fine. I don't know if I put a thermostat in this thing or not, but way she goes. Also, I know Dani, I don't think she's driving this thing in the absolute hottest of hot days. She'll take the truck with air conditioning, let me suffer. So, that's really it for now. Thanks, as always, for watching. Please leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That makes a world of difference to us, costs nothing, and allows us to keep wasting time and money on junky hot rods. I don't know. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.